So over the past few weeks, leaked photos of Alistair Stout as Ron dropped, and honestly, the Chudley Cannon shirt is an absolutely perfect detail they've got right. In my opinion, this demonstrates that the show is really focusing on the little things that the movies missed to make the world feel more alive. While the Chamber of Secrets movie was pretty faithful, there was still a fair amount of small details that were missed out, which would just make the whole wizarding world feel richer. In my vision for episode 7, I've included some missing scenes, key character moments, and even a few small additions that expand the world beyond what even the books gave us. So let's jump into my vision for HBO's Harry Potter Season 2, Episode 7, Follow the Spiders. Our cold open for this episode is the final one that focuses on the point of view from a victim of one of the attacks. We see Hermione in the library frantically scanning an unseen book before her eyes widen with shock as she understands something. She then rips a page out of the book, scrunches it in her hand, and goes to leave the library. As Hermione is leaving, she asks a Ravenclaw girl to borrow her mirror, and as she does so, she tells her to follow. As they slowly round a corner, the camera focuses on the mirror in a tight shot. We suddenly see the flash of a bright yellow eye before we cut to black and the title sequence rolls. Before we continue with this penultimate episode of Season 2, please remember to hit the subscribe button if you enjoy this content, like the video, and hit the notification bell as the finale is coming out very soon. We open with the camera tight on Professor McGonagall's face, and as the camera zooms out, we see that she is holding a piece of parchment standing in the Gryffindor common room. McGonagall goes on to explain the new security measures. Every class will be escorted to their next lesson by a teacher, there will be no unauthorized bathroom breaks, and finally, the school might have to close. The first key difference in this episode from what we saw in the movie is after McGonagall leaves and Lee Jordan shouts,
"Why don't they just chuck all the Slytherins out?"
and the crowd erupts. Once again, I know I keep saying this, but including these moments with other students just makes Hogwarts seem more real and relatable. The movies often acted like it was just the trio who were impacted by certain events. However, this moment shows that the whole school is affected. We cut to the dead of night with Harry and Ron sneaking down to Hagrid's underneath the invisibility cloak. The following scene in Hagrid's hut will be pretty much identical to the movie. I honestly don't really know what they can change here, as all of the actors in the movies did a phenomenal job, and I think the actors in this scene will do the same. But to sum it up, Harry and Ron, whilst under the invisibility cloak, witness the meeting between Hagrid, Dumbledore, Lucius Malfoy, and Cornelius Fudge. Fudge is here to arrest Hagrid, and Malfoy is here to give Dumbledore a letter of dismissal. What is different is the following scene, as in the movie, Harry and Ron go straight into the Forbidden Forest. However, this time, we will see the next day at Hogwarts. The colour palette, and therefore the school, seems much gloomier now that Dumbledore has gone. We then cut to Herbology, and firstly we'll see Ernie Macmillan in a great character moment formally apologising to Harry for suspecting him. And then Harry sees a stream of spiders moving in a perfectly straight line toward the Forbidden Forest. Harry leans over to Ron and whispers that they will follow the spiders that night. The sequence culminates with them under the invisibility cloak again, sneaking out of the castle, firstly to Hagrid's hut to collect Fang, and then down to the Forbidden Forest. Harry casts Lumos, illuminating the entrance to the forest, and we cut to black to end Sequence 1. Before we jump into Sequence 2, I just wanted to point out that while Sequence 2 is mainly going to focus on Harry and Ron's adventure in the Forbidden Forest and Aragog, this doesn't mean that the sequence is necessarily going to be really short. The show can combat this by fleshing out certain action sequences and also fleshing out the Forbidden Forest in general, seeing a variety of different creatures and objects. So Sequence 2 starts with Harry and Ron walking through the Forbidden Forest, following the trail of spiders. As they go deeper, the trees grow more gnarled and twisted, and then in the periphery, we will see something moving. We then catch a glimpse of a herd of centaurs, silently watching them from the shadows. Obviously, we don't see this in the movie, and we don't even see this in the book, but again, kind of like with the Pensieve, it's a little change and a little addition that makes the whole world seem much more alive. As I mentioned in the previous season, I really like centaur lore, and I really want the show to make sure they have a prominent part to play in the series as a whole. And this inclusion is just a reminder that the forest is full of different things that don't really care about their specific problems, and it perfectly sets up the centaurs to have a bigger part to play throughout the seasons. The tension keeps building and building before Fang starts to lose it, barking his head off. And as Ron starts to have a massive full-blown panic attack, Mr. Weasley's car emerges in front of them. It's a fantastic and weird moment that completely makes you forget about the terror that's currently going on all around them. But then Harry realizes that they have lost the trail of spiders, and as he's about to say that they need to find them again, we see the colour drain from Ron's face. We start to hear a steady clicking. Before 1 second they're standing there, and the next second they're being swept up and carried away upside down. And the camera should swing wildly, completely disorienting them and us in a haze of hairy legs. The actual conversation with Aragog in his lair is very similar to the movie, and visually it will be very similar too. I think the movie did an excellent job with this scene, especially as so many of the spiders were practical effects. And as the showrunners have already said, the TV series is also going to try and rely a lot on practical effects. We then get the massive info dump. Hagrid is innocent, the girl who died was found in a bathroom, and the monster is something that spiders fear. Then,
Goodbye, friend of Hagrid.
The clicking gets insane as a wall of spiders advance. Harry goes for his wand, knowing it's hopeless, before we hear a horn blare out of the trees. Once again, the next action segment will be very similar to what we got in the movie, but again, they can just flesh it out a little bit more as they have more time. After the frantic escape, the car dumps them near Hagrid's hut before reversing back into the Forbidden Forest, and Ron, unable to contain himself, is violently sick in the pumpkin patch. We then cut to the dormitory with Harry and Ron in bed, but Harry can't sleep. And then it hits him. He sits bolt upright and says,
That girl who died, Aragog said she was found in a bathroom. What if she never left the bathroom?
Ron rubs his eyes before they widen with shock.
You don't think? Not Moaning Myrtle.
We cut to black to end Sequence 2. We start Sequence 3 with our final Hogwarts changing motif, highlighting the transition from spring to an approaching summer. We then cut to Transfiguration, where we will see Professor McGonagall telling the Gryffindors that the exams are due to take place in a few weeks. This is a key moment for McGonagall, as it shows that she is following Dumbledore's instructions to keep a normality to life at Hogwarts despite the dire threats. It also grounds the story. Even with a monster on the loose, the students still have to sit their exams. McGonagall also makes another announcement that the mandrakes are ready and that soon they will be stewed so they can bring all of the petrified people back. We then cut to Harry and Ron heading down to the Great Hall, and Ron tells Harry happily that they don't need to go and speak to Myrtle anymore, because once Hermione is back, she will have all of the details about who attacked her. Once they arrive in the Great Hall, this is when Ginny Weasley approaches them, and this scene was left out completely from the movies. However, I think it's a really important moment to include for Ginny's character, as even though she is being possessed, sorry for the slight spoiler, she still wants to do the right thing. She says that she needs to tell them something important, but she struggles to get the words out, and eventually Percy comes and interrupts her at the worst possible moment, causing Ginny to flee. When Ron angrily tells Percy that Ginny was about to tell them something important, Percy chokes on his tea as he says that it was because she walked in on him doing something that he would rather not talk about. Here again is the Chamber of Secrets being a great whodunit, as this is an excellent red herring that again just enhances the mystery and also makes his interruption even more frustrating. We cut to the Gryffindors being escorted to History of Magic by Lockhart, and Harry seizes his moment. He begins to flatter Lockhart, and eventually him and Ron convince them that he can go off to prepare for his next class, leaving the class to get to History of Magic alone. The pair of them dart towards Myrtle's bathroom, but on their way, they are accosted by Professor McGonagall, and we see another great character moment for her. Harry quickly lies that they were going to visit Hermione in the hospital wing, and it works. McGonagall's stern facade cracks, and she gives them permission. So within a few scenes of each other, we've seen a few different sides of McGonagall. We've seen her sterner side when it comes to her exams, her leadership when it comes to the mandrakes, and also her more emotional side when it comes to being touched by Harry and Ron wanting to visit Hermione. I really think this is important because whilst Maggie Smith's performance of McGonagall was iconic, once again the show has the chance to expand some of these characters even more than what we saw in the movies. When Harry and Ron get to the hospital wing, they sit next to Hermione, and Harry notices a piece of paper scrunched up in Hermione's hand. In the movie, it's Harry that reads the page. However, once again, this time, Newt Scamander is going to narrate the page, which will be brilliantly animated. And as he reads about the basilisk's abilities and weaknesses, we will also see some flashbacks from earlier on in the season, which highlight how Harry and Ron are now starting to make the connections. Firstly, its gaze is fatal. However, Colin saw it through his camera, Justin through Nearly Headless Nick, and Hermione with the mirror. The crow of the rooster is fatal to it, which is why Harry saw Hagrid holding some dead roosters when he went to visit Dumbledore. Spiders flee before it, which explains the trails into the forest. And at the bottom of the page, Hermione had written pipes, explaining why Harry has been hearing the voice coming from the walls. Harry and Ron finally go on to piece together the fact that the Chamber of Secrets entrance must be in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. The next thing we know, the camera is frantically following them as they burst down corridors, up staircases and around corners, with Harry saying that they need to get to the staff room to tell McGonagall what they know. However, once they arrive in the staff room, it's empty, so they decide to wait. Then we hear McGonagall's voice magically echoed throughout the school, telling all students to go back to their common rooms and all of the staff to meet in the staff room. Harry and Ron quickly hide in a wardrobe full of teachers' cloaks just as the staff all arrive. McGonagall then delivers the news.
A student has been taken by the monster, right into the chamber itself.
She goes on to say that the heir of Slytherin left another message.
Her skeleton will lie in the chamber forever.
Professor Sprout asks which student has been taken, and McGonagall says,
Ginny Weasley.
The camera focuses on Harry's dumbstruck face before moving slowly to Ron, who slides down helplessly to the floor. We cut to black, and the credits roll. The ending of this episode is honestly perfect in my opinion. We have the thrill of finally piecing all of the clues together, the excitement of running to the staff room to tell McGonagall everything, and then suddenly the crushing blow that Ginny has been taken. So what did you think? Did you like the more kind of fleshed out approach of the Forbidden Forest? And what would you add to make Hogwarts seem more gloomy post Dumbledore's departure? Let me know down in the comments, and once again remember to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on my vision for the Harry Potter Season 2 finale.